There's a YouTube video that is called an awareness test. I think it's actually an ad, a public service announcement from the UK. You may have seen it or seen other demonstrations like it, but in the video there's two teams of basketball players, a team with white jerseys, a team with black jerseys. And it asks you, the video asks at the beginning of the video, how many passes does the team in white make? And the two teams start to pass the ball a lot, back and forth, around the circle. And you're watching, of course, to see how many passes the team in white makes. And then at the end of the video, it tells you the answer. It's 13, in case you ever need the answer. And then it says, but did you see the moonwalking bear? The moonwalking bear. Now, I've totally ruined it for you because if you go watch this video now, you will in fact see the moonwalking bear. But for almost all people, because you are counting the number of passes the team makes, you will not see the moonwalking bear. And if you go back and watch it, you will see that, oh my goodness, there really was a moonwalking bear in the middle of those basketball players. Not hiding, not moving super fast, really, truly moonwalking slowly through, but if you're not looking for it, you will not see it. And the end of this commercial says, it's easy to miss something you're not looking for. And the message, the moral of the story from them as a PSA is to look out for cyclists, those who are riding bicycles. But I want to focus on the thing they said before that. It's easy to miss something you're not looking for. And I wonder in our lives, how often is God the moonwalking bear? Moonwalking through our lives? Oh, come on, that's funny, y'all. Think about God, like moonwalking. Okay, I'm not going to moonwalk. I thought about it, but how often is God the moonwalking bear in our own lives? The thing that we are not seeing because we're paying attention to so much else. We humans have selective attention. We can only see so much at a time. And granted, it's pretty much a lot. We have a lot coming in from our senses, but as the video demonstrates, if you're looking and really focusing on something, you will not see other things. Our attention is fractured in this day and age. Maybe it always has been, but life is moving at such a speed of change that we can't keep up. And our attention, our focus, what we pay attention to is for sale. It has been for a long time, but social media, the internet, our phones, our iPads, they can all be used for good, but they are also all trying to keep your eyes on the screen because they're trying to sell ads to you, trying to sell things to you. That's how they make their money. Our attention is for sale, and the companies behind this don't want to benefit us. They want to make money, as most companies do. And now, and this statistic is a couple years old, U.S. adults spend more than 11 hours per day looking at screens or interacting with technology. I know that's probably true for me. I spend a lot of time just for work on my computer. And again, technology isn't inherently evil, but the point I'm trying to make is that in today's society, our thoughts can be all over the place. God can be moonwalking through our lives, and we might have no idea. So that's why this week's practice, the spiritual practice that we're looking at, is unplug. Now, unplugging is not a spiritual practice found in the Bible because they had nothing to plug in at the time of the Bible, right? okay? But it's an example of the ways that we can apply what we read in the Bible to our everyday lives. Because what we do have in the Bible are examples of people praying with attention to God. And we have the teachings on Sabbath, holy time set apart with God. Attention is sacred, even though it is for sale, but our attention to God, to ourselves, and to others is so important because our attention leads to our connection with God, ourselves, and others. If we're not paying attention, we're not able to build on those relationships. And those relationships and that love is what life is all about. We have the example in Genesis, as we just heard, of God resting. I wonder, did God need to rest? I don't know. But maybe God just wanted to enjoy all that God had made, like a work of art, to sit back and think, this is all so beautiful. And that's what God said, right? This is all very good. God rested and says we should rest too. And Nicole read a passage from Mark where Jesus rested. He took time away to recharge, to reconnect, and he came back different from that time. The disciples said, "Everyone's looking for you." Like they're growing impatient with him. They want to move on. But Jesus says, let's head in the other direction to the nearby villages so that I can preach there too. That's why I've come. I think in that time of prayer, Jesus was shifting his attention back to his mission, reconnecting with his identity. So rest is good and holy. Unplugging is good and holy. And God invites us to that rest, even commands us to it. Taking Sabbath is one of the 10 commandments that God passed down to Moses on Mount Sinai. Honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. Rest. All the commandments are for our good. And so why should we rest? Why unplug? We find recreation. We are recreated in rest. We are restored, renewed, revitalized, reoriented. It's like if you've ever tried using a compass and a map to get somewhere. Any scouts in here done that? I don't know. But I once was on a backpacking trip and we did. But you have to get your compass oriented in a certain way so that you're looking in the right direction. Rest and unplugging does that for our lives. When we are able to focus on God, God is always there, right? So God reorients us to what really matters. The writer Anne Lamott wrote, "Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, even you." Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. We take Sabbath, we take time apart from the pressures and the speed of everyday life and the constant glow of our screens because we need to work again. We need to be reoriented and put back in the ground of our being, which is God. So how do we do that? God invites us to be restored and renewed and recreative, but how? Well, one of the questions from the Bible study for this week was, what feels attentive to your soul? And at Bible study on Wednesday, we talked about that. We talked about nature, music, One person said building a bridge was one way that she had found rest and Sabbath. And that goes to show that it's different for everybody, because I probably wouldn't, at this phase of my life, build a bridge in order to find rest. But for her, it was a place where she attended to her soul and connected with God. There are different ways that we connect with God and find that rest at different points in our lives. Maybe you have too much rest in your life right now. And so I wonder what this unplugging practice might look like for you. Maybe one way to think about it is think about attention and where your attention is and how you can unplug from some things that maybe aren't giving you life and plug into other things and other relationships that do give life. Sabbath rest doesn't have to be just sitting around and doing nothing. You can build a bridge, phone a friend, text somebody, listen to music, do art. One of my personal practices, reading fiction. All of the things that we talked about in Bible study had some things in common. They were a place set apart, a time set apart, even if it's just sitting on your porch in the morning looking out at the trees or the sunrise. And all of the things we talked about had an element of beauty to them, whether it be God's nature or the beauty that we humans create. For any of these practices, being attentive to your soul, it's about resting in God, even if you're not literally physically resting. Another pastor said that Sabbath is like being in a hammock. You really have to let yourself rest, or you fall flat out on your face. Sabbath is attention to God and one's soul. Like all the other spiritual practices we've talked about, it's about making space for God and others and paying attention. As a church, it might look like reorienting ourselves to our mission and our vision to make disciples and to love God and one another. And in our own lives, Sabbath can renew us and recreate us. And there we can find our attention reoriented to God, to the moonwalking bear in our own lives. May God show us the way to true rest and restoration. Amen.